Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy.
That would look stunning on you,
Came a lilting voice from behind. Lauren startled, whirling around to face Maria, the store's owner, and his adoptive mother. Her silver hair was coiffed to perfection, her tailored suit a testament to her impeccable taste. I was just straightening the displays. Lauren stammered, his cheeks flushing crimson. Maria's eyes twinkled with understanding. Darling, I've seen the way you look at these dresses. It's the same way I looked at my first Chanel suit. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Why don't you try it on? Lauren's heart raced, a mix of excitement and terror coursing through his veins. But what would people say? In this store, we celebrate beauty in all its forms, Maria replied, her tone brooking no argument. She plucked the dress from its hanger and pressed it into Lauren's trembling hands. Go on. The fitting room's all yours. With shaking fingers, Lauren slipped behind the velvet curtain. The cool silk of the dress whispered against his skin as he pulled it on, each movement feeling like a revelation. When he emerged, blinking in the bright lights of the store, Maria's gasp was audible. Oh, Lauren, she breathed, her eyes misting. You look absolutely radiant. Lauren turned to face the full-length mirror, and for the first time in his life, he saw himself, truly saw himself. The person staring back wasn't the awkward, ill-fitting young man he'd always known. Instead, a graceful, elegant woman gazed back at him, her eyes shining with newfound confidence. I feel like myself, Lauren whispered, his voice choked with emotion. Maria squeezed his shoulder gently. Then perhaps it's time we helped you become who you've always been meant to be. In the weeks that followed, Lauren's world transformed. With Maria's guidance and the help of Eliza, a sympathetic salesgirl, he began to explore the vast realm of women's fashion. Eliza taught him the intricacies of makeup application, her deft fingers demonstrating the perfect winged eyeliner. It's all in the flick of the wrist, she explained, her tongue poking out in concentration as she applied a coat of mascara to Lauren's lashes. There, take a look. Lauren blinked at his reflection, marveling at how such small changes could make such a significant difference. It's incredible, he breathed. Eliza beamed. You're a natural, love. Now let's talk about your wardrobe. Together, they curated a collection that spoke to Lauren's emerging style, classic silhouettes with a modern twist, rich jewel tones that complemented his complexion. Each new outfit felt like stepping into a more authentic version of himself. As Lauren's confidence grew, so did his desire to live openly as the woman he knew himself to be. It was Maria who suggested the name change. Laura, she mused one evening as they sat in her opulent study, the fire crackling merrily in the grate.
It suits you, don't you think? A nod to your past, but with a feminine grace.
Lauren, now Laura, rolled the name around in her mind, tasting its syllables. Laura, she repeated, a smile blooming on her face. I love it. Maria leaned forward, her expression serious.
You know, darling, there's a finishing school in America that specializes in helping women like you find their footing. It might be just the thing to help you fully embrace this new chapter of your life.
Laura's eyes widened. America? But what about the store? My life here? The store will still be here when you return, Maria assured her, and you'll come back as the woman you were always meant to be. The decision made, Laura found herself on a plane bound for New York, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The finishing school, nestled in the rolling hills of upstate New York, was a haven of acceptance and transformation. Under the tutelage of experienced instructors, Laura learned the finer points of etiquette, posture, and self-presentation. She practiced walking in heels until her feet ached, mastered the art of applying a full face of makeup in under 15 minutes, and developed a voice that matched her inner self. But it wasn't just about the external changes. In group therapy sessions and one-on-one counseling, Laura confronted the pain and confusion of her past, learning to embrace her true identity with pride and joy. One morning, as Laura strolled through the school's manicured gardens, she caught sight of her reflection in an ornamental pond. The woman who gazed back at her was poised, confident, and radiant. For the first time in her life, Laura felt truly at home in her own skin. The months flew by, and before she knew it, it was time to return to Birmingham. As the plane touched down on English soil, Laura felt a flutter of nervousness in her stomach. How would people react to the new her? Her worries dissipated the moment she saw Maria waiting at the arrivals gate, arms outstretched. "Oh, my darling girl," Maria exclaimed, pulling Laura into a tight embrace. "You look absolutely stunning." Back at the department store, Laura's colleagues welcomed her with open arms and genuine enthusiasm. Eliza squealed with delight, pulling Laura into a twirl to admire her new look. "You've always been gorgeous," she gushed, "but now you're absolutely glowing." As Laura settled back into life in Birmingham, she knew there was one more step she needed to take to fully become herself. With Maria's unwavering support, she began the process of gender confirmation surgery. The day of the operation dawned bright and clear. As Laura was wheeled into the operating room, she felt a profound sense of peace. When she awoke hours later, groggy but elated, she knew that her physical form finally matched her inner truth. Recovery was a long and sometimes painful process, but Laura faced each day with determination and grace. Maria was a constant presence, tending to Laura's needs with motherly devotion. "You know," Maria mused one afternoon as they sat in the sunlit conservatory, Laura's favorite place to recuperate, "I always wanted a daughter. I just never imagined she'd come into my life quite like this." Laura reached out to squeeze Maria's hand, her heart overflowing with gratitude. "And I always wanted a mother who would love me for who I truly am. I guess we both got our wish." As Laura's strength returned, so did her wanderlust. The finishing school had awakened in her a desire to see more of the world, to experience life to its fullest as her authentic self. "I've been thinking," she began tentatively one evening over dinner. "I'd like to travel for a while, see the world, meet new people, just be Laura without any of the baggage from my past." Maria's eyes crinkled with understanding. "Of course, my dear, you must spread your wings. But promise me you'll always come home." Laura's smile was radiant. "Always," she vowed. In the weeks that followed, Laura threw herself into planning her grand adventure. She pored over travel guides, plotting a route that would take her from the sun-drenched beaches of the Mediterranean to the bustling streets of Tokyo. As she packed her suitcase, now filled with clothing that truly represented her style and identity, Laura felt a sense of excitement she'd never known before. This wasn't just a journey around the world. It was a journey to fully embrace every facet of her new life. The night before her departure, Laura stood before the full-length mirror in her bedroom, taking in her reflection. She wore a sleek black dress that hugged her curves, her hair styled in soft waves that framed her face. The woman who gazed back at her exuded confidence and joy. A soft knock at the door interrupted her reverie. "Come in," Laura called. Mariah entered, her eyes misting as she took in the sight of her daughter. "Oh, Laura," she breathed. "You look absolutely breathtaking." Laura turned, a smile playing on her lips. "It's all thanks to you, you know. Your love and support made all of this possible." Maria crossed the room, enveloping Laura in a warm embrace. "My darling girl, all I did was nurture what was already there. You've always been this strong, beautiful woman. You just needed the chance to let her shine." As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, Laura felt a profound sense of peace wash over her. She was loved, she was supported, and she was finally, truly herself. The next morning dawned bright and clear. A perfect day for new beginnings. Laura stood at the departure gate, her passport clutched in her hand. It bore her new name and gender marker, a tangible symbol of her journey. Maria stood beside her, a bittersweet smile on her face. Remember, darling, no matter where your travels take you, you'll always have a home here." Laura nodded, her throat tight with emotion. "I know, and I promise I'll write often." With a final hug and a wave, Laura stepped through the gate, ready to embrace the world as her true self. As the plane lifted off, carrying her towards new horizons, she felt a sense of limitless possibility. The woman she had always been meant to be was finally free to soar. Laura's first stop was Paris, the city of lights and fashion. As she strolled down the Champs-Élysées, her heels clicking on the cobblestones, she felt a thrill of excitement. Here she was just another chic woman enjoying the beauty of the city. She spent her days exploring the grand museums, losing herself in the masterpieces of the Louvre and the Musée d'Orsay. In the evenings, she dined at small, intimate bistros, savoring exquisite French cuisine and engaging in lively conversations with fellow travelers. One particularly memorable night found her at an underground jazz club in Montmartre. The air was thick with cigarette smoke and the sultry notes of a saxophone. Laura sipped her cocktail, feeling utterly sophisticated in her little black dress and red lipstick. "Excuse me," came a voice at her elbow. "Is this seat taken?" Laura turned to find a handsome Frenchman smiling at her. For a moment, her heart raced with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. This was her first real interaction with a man as Laura, but as she met his gaze, she felt a surge of confidence. "Not at all," she replied, gesturing for him to sit. As they chatted, Laura marveled at how natural it felt. There was no awkwardness, no fear of being found out. She was simply a woman enjoying the company of an attractive man. The night wore on, filled with laughter and flirtation. When the Frenchman leaned in to kiss her cheek at the end of the evening, Laura felt a flutter in her stomach. It wasn't just the thrill of attraction. It was the joy of being seen and appreciated for who she truly was. From Paris, Laura's journey took her to the sun-drenched coasts of Italy. In Rome, she marveled at the ancient ruins, imagining the millennia of history that had unfolded on these very streets. In Florence, she lost herself in the world of Renaissance art, spending hours in the Uffizi Gallery. But it was in a small village on the Amalfi Coast that Laura had an experience that would stay with her forever. She had rented a tiny apartment with a balcony overlooking the sparkling Mediterranean. One morning, as she sat sipping her espresso and watching the fishing boats bob in the harbor, she overheard a commotion in the street below. An elderly woman had fallen, her basket of groceries spilling across the cobblestones. Without hesitation, Laura rushed down to help. As she gathered the scattered produce and helped the woman to her feet, she found herself swept up in a flurry of rapid-fire Italian. Though she couldn't understand the words, the woman's gratitude was clear. Before Laura knew what was happening, she was being ushered into the woman's home, a cozy apartment filled with the aroma of simmering tomato sauce. Over the next few hours, Laura found herself inducted into the art of making authentic Italian pasta. The elderly woman, whose name, she learned, was Sophia, guided her hands as they kneaded the dough, laughing and chattering all the while. As they sat down to enjoy the fruits of their labor, Sophia's family began to arrive. Soon, the tiny apartment was filled with the buzz of conversation and the clinking of wine glasses. Laura was embraced as an honored guest, her rudimentary Italian met with encouraging smiles and patient repetitions. It was a magical evening, one that reminded Laura of the beauty of human connection. As she bid goodbye to her new friends, her cheeks aching from smiling, she felt a profound sense of belonging. Here, in this tiny village thousands of miles from home, she was accepted without question as the woman she was. From Italy, Laura's travels took her eastward. In Greece, she explored ancient ruins and lounged on sun-soaked beaches. In Turkey, she haggled in the bustling bazaars and marveled at the otherworldly landscapes of Cappadocia. Each new destination brought fresh experiences and challenges. There were moments of loneliness, times when the weight of her journey felt overwhelming. But with each passing day, Laura grew more comfortable in her skin, more confident in her place in the world. She kept her promise to Maria, sending long, detailed emails filled with her adventures. And though she loved the thrill of constant movement, she found herself looking forward to these moments of connection with home. As her European adventure drew to a close, Laura felt a pull towards more exotic locales. She boarded a plane bound for Bangkok, ready to immerse herself in the vibrant chaos of Southeast Asia. The heat and humidity hit her like a wall as she stepped off the plane in Thailand. But Laura embraced it, relishing the way it made her sundress cling to her skin. She dove headfirst into the frenetic energy of Bangkok, navigating crowded night markets and serene temples with equal enthusiasm. It was in a small town in northern Thailand that Laura had another transformative experience. She had signed up for a cooking class, eager to learn the secrets of the delicious Thai cuisine she'd been enjoying. As she struggled to pound chilies and lemongrass in a mortar and pestle, she caught the eye of another student, a woman about her age with a mischievous smile. "Having trouble?" the woman asked, her Australian accent immediately apparent. Laura laughed, wiping sweat from her brow. "Is it that obvious?" The woman, who introduced herself as Emma, came over to help. As they worked side by side, chatting and laughing, Laura felt an immediate connection. Over the next few days, Laura and Emma became inseparable. They explored temples together, braved the local night market, and spent long evenings talking over bottles of Chang beer. It was on one of these evenings, as they sat watching the sunset from a rooftop bar, that Laura felt compelled to share her story. Her heart pounding, she began to speak, telling Emma about her journey from Lauren to Laura. As the words poured out, Laura braced herself for rejection. But when she finally met Emma's eyes, she saw only warmth and understanding. "Thank you for trusting me with that," Emma said softly, reaching out to squeeze Laura's hand. "You're an incredible woman, you know that?" Tears pricked at Laura's eyes. In that moment, she felt truly seen and accepted, not just as a woman, but as her complete self, past, present, and future. The weeks flew by, and soon it was time for Laura to continue her journey. As she and Emma said goodbye at the airport, promises to keep in touch were exchanged, along with a long, tight hug. "You've shown me what true friendship looks like," Laura said, her voice thick with emotion. Emma smiled, her eyes shining. "And you've shown me what courage looks like. Don't ever forget how amazing you are, Laura." As the plane took off, carrying her towards her next adventure in Japan, Laura felt a sense of bittersweet joy. She was leaving a piece of her heart behind, but she was also taking with her a newfound confidence in her ability to form deep, meaningful connections as her true self. Japan was a whirlwind of contrasts. The frenetic energy of Tokyo juxtaposed with the serene beauty of Kyoto's temples. Laura threw herself into every experience, from navigating the complex etiquette of a traditional tea ceremony to belting out karaoke in a tiny bar in Shinjuku. As her journey neared its end, Laura found herself reflecting on the incredible path she had traveled, not just geographically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. She was no longer the hesitant, conflicted person who had first tried on that burgundy dress in Maria's department store. She was Laura in every sense of the word, confident, joyful, and fully herself. On her last night abroad, Laura stood on the balcony of her hotel room in Tokyo, gazing out at the glittering cityscape. She thought about the people she'd met, the experiences she'd had, the woman she'd become. And she knew with absolute certainty that this was just the beginning of her story. As she packed her bags for the journey home, Laura felt a sense of excitement rather than sadness. She was ready to return to Birmingham, to Maria and the life she'd left behind. But this time, she was returning as her full, authentic self, a woman who had traveled the world and found herself in the process. The plane touched down in Birmingham on a rainy afternoon. As Laura made her way through the arrivals gate, her heart swelled at the sight of Maria waiting for her, a bright bouquet of flowers in her arms. "Welcome home, my darling girl," Maria said, pulling her into a tight embrace. Laura hugged her back, breathing in the familiar scent of her adoptive mother's perfume. "It's good to be home," she replied, and she meant it with every fiber of her being. As they drove through the familiar streets of Birmingham, Laura felt a sense of coming full circle. She had left as a woman taking her first tentative steps into the world. She was returning as a woman who had embraced life with both hands, who had faced challenges and emerged stronger, who had found friendship and acceptance in the most unexpected places. The department store looked just as she remembered it, its windows gleaming with the latest fashions. As Laura walked through the doors, her heels clicking on the polished floor, she was greeted by a chorus of warm welcomes from her colleagues. Eliza rushed forward, enveloping her in a hug. "Look at you!" she exclaimed, holding Laura at arm's length to admire her. "You're absolutely glowing," Laura laughed, a sound full of joy and confidence. "I feel like I'm glowing," she admitted. "I've seen so much, experienced so much. I can't wait to share it all with you." As she settled back into her role at the store, Laura found that her travels had given her a new perspective on fashion and style. She brought fresh ideas to the displays, drawing on the vibrant colors of Thai silks and the sleek minimalism of Japanese design. Customers responded enthusiastically to her innovative approach, and soon Laura found herself promoted to head of the women's department. It was a role she embraced with passion and creativity, always striving to help other women feel as confident and beautiful as she now did. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.